Oh, this is the place where the fishermen gather in oilskins and boots and cape ands battened down. All sizes of figures with squid lines and jiggers, they congregate here on the squid jigging ground. Some are working their jiggers while others are yarning. There's some standing up and there's
inside. You take the high road, I'll take the low road, free from all care and strife. Sounds corny and spacious and wide. A house that's filled with joy and laughter with the ones that you love inside. And then you take the high road, I'll take the low road, free from all care and strife. Sounds corny and seedy, but oh yes indeed. Give me the simple life. Tomato? Give me the simple life.
At last, here we are in the center of the largest city in the Maritime Provinces, Halifax. Looking down one of the typical streets at Halifax, from the Halifax Citadel down to the harbor. So poutine is a French word for French fries and gravy that means what a mess.
Cheese curd.
It's Sunday morning and we are now in the town of Lunenburg, the shipping capital of Nova Scotia. Lunenburg was settled by Germans in the mid-1800s, and this is the schoolhouse where the students actually lived in the 1800s. Now we're going on a walking tour down to the water. Here is a typical house in Lunenburg. Those dormers there are known as Lunenburg bumps, unique to the area. This house was built in the late 1880s. At last we reached the center of Lunenburg, a town of 2,300 people. One of the 2 UNESCO cities in North America, the other one being Savannah, Georgia. This is the dory that they fished from and filled with cod, about a ton in there, 2 people. And this is a typical schooner that would carry the dories out to the fishing areas. We had lunch here in the Salt Spray Cafe, an 1860s house. Great seafood chowder and a lobster roll. Foggy afternoon finds us at Peggy Cove and the famous lighthouse. This is Peggy's Cove, and those are lobster traps. This clock guards the entrance to the Halifax Citadel, the big fort on the top of the hill overlooking the town of Halifax. Monday night, and we are going into the Citadel for dinner. There's the famous clock from the rear, and you can look downtown Halifax. Into the Citadel, a classic 1700 diamond star shape. This is a 12-pounder gun, which is normally only fired at noon. Rolling the gun into position.
So they did fire it in the evening historically. This is a way to let all the soldiers know.
Getting ready to light the match. Next, we pose with the crew. With one last look at Halifax at night, next we are off to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island.
I love by the gasworks wall. Dream the dream
was my girl by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Clouds are drifting across the moon. Cats are prowling on their beat. Spring's a girl from the streets at night. Dirty old town, dirty old town.
We have arrived after a day-long bus ride at the capital of Prince Edward's Island, known as PEI to the locals, Charlottetown. There's not very much to this town of 30,000. This is the extent of downtown Charlottetown. This is a typical side street off the main street in Charlottetown. Shall we say quiet? Now it's into Anne of Green Gables chocolates for chocolate-covered potato chips. One of the specialties of Anne of Green Gables store are chocolate-covered potato chips. Pouring chocolate over it. Now we are off to picturesque sightseeing around the island of Prince Edward Island, including Anne of Green Gables' house.
These are made of, the pots here are made of spruce and fir usually, and they have these bendy bows that you saw, but these require much more maintenance than the metal ones. And usually over the winter time, the lobster fishermen will then work on their pots, right? And welcome back. The weather outside, fantastic. What a day, what a day.
We now stand at the Anne of Green Gables farm. Of course, this is a fictional character, and the author stayed at this house a few times during her life in Cavendish, Prince Edward's Island, but didn't live here really. Nevertheless, this is the official house of the story written by Montgomery about 100 years ago.
The spud from the bright red mud, rolling down a highway smiling. The spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Now from Charlottetown or from Summerside, they load him down for the big long ride. He jumps in the cab and he's off with the pride so biggles. He's got to catch the boat to make Clementine, and he hits up that old New Brunswick line. To Montreal he comes just a-flying with another big load of potatoes. It's Bud the Spud from the bright red mud, rolling down the highway smiling. The spuds are big on the back of Bud's rig. They're from Prince Edward Island. They're from Prince Edward Island. Now the Ontario Provincial Police don't think much of Bud. Yeah, the cops have been looking for the...
It's Friday here in Digby, Nova Scotia on the Bay of Fundy. We're going to walk about 3 miles from the shopping center on the outskirts of town, leaving Sobeys, a Canadian chain, hotel on the other side of town in Digby Neck. And of course, one doesn't walk very far before passing the Tim Hortons hamburger place, which is everywhere up here in the Maritime provinces. Lots of cutesy little inns like this 3.5-star Summer County Inn. The town of Digby, 2,300 people, the scallop capital of the world, known for its famous Digby scallops, which we'll have for dinner tonight. The tide in this harbor goes up and down about 40 feet twice a day. one can read War and Peace waiting for it to happen. Right now it's up, but when we arrived, there were giant ladders to get to those boats that were on the bottom of the ocean. All of the towns on Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, for that matter, are very green, with all types of choices for disposing of your waste. Digby is a very quiet town, and as all towns in Canada have, they have a war memorial in the center of town. I think a lobster roll is what I'm going to have for lunch, and Digby-based scallops for dinner. That's it, 2.5 blocks of stores, and we are out of Digby, heading next to the hotel. What a bright and clear day we have here. Every so often, as one goes walking through town here in Digby, you come across a house with one of these bronze 5-pointed stars prominently displayed on the side of the house. That star means that Acadians, the French Canadians who originally inhabited all of this region in the 1600s, expelled in the middle 1700s and let back in, but not given anything that they could grow crops on. They were all farmers. They became fishermen, and today, to mark their ancestry, they put these bronze stars on the front of their houses. 2 miles after we start, we're back at the hotel, and you know what that means on a Tauck tour. Time for lunch. As the sun sets over the town of Digby, I think this is as good a place as any to conclude this video on our 8-day journey to Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island.
Wake up in the morning to the quiet of the Cove and hear Aunt Bessie talking to herself, and to hear poor Uncle John mumbling wishes to old Nell. It made me feel like everything was fine. I was born down by the water, it's here I'm gonna stay. I've searched for all the reasons